Hi there, everybody. The title of this video is pretty self-explanatory. This is a subject that I have been kind of wanting to talk about for a long time. Probably for over a year. I've been kind of wanting to share this and force myself to own up to this, but I have issues with eating. I have issues with looking in the mirror. I have an eating disorder. I do want to clarify that I am living with it. It's not the problem that it used to be. I eat normally. I'm healthy now. I allow myself to indulge in things. I eat meat again, I eat fast food again, I drink pop sometimes. I don't have these fear foods that I used to have, but I still have all of the thoughts, and I don't see myself the way that I'm sure other people see me. And it's scary because I've been the size that I am for a long time, and I've grown comfortable with that, and you think that you would start to be like, oh, it's okay, you're okay, everybody else says you're skinny, you wear little clothes. You would think that you would be able to just rationalize it away, and sometimes I do, but even when I tell myself, it's okay, you wear a size extra small, everybody, look at the scale, you're doing fine, you're at a healthy weight. These are things that I repeat to myself every day, and I still don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I don't like looking down when I'm in the shower. It still is distorted in my head. But anyway, I kind of want to clarify why I'm doing this, because a lot of people see videos like this and they're like, oh, you just are looking for attention, and really that's not what I'm trying to do. My biggest problem that surrounded this was that I was very ashamed that I had these problems and these thoughts and this disorder, and I want to force myself to own up to it and force myself to be like, you know what, I have this, this is something, and it plagues so many people, and there's just so much shame surrounding it. And personally, I think shame is one of the hardest feelings to deal with, just for me. It's hard, and if I'm completely honest, talking about this is really hard for me too. I'm so sorry, I keep saying all the time. I'm my heart is beating. Talking about it kind of sends my body into shock a little bit. My heart races and my skin gets kind of hot. And I realized this a couple weeks ago because I was finally talking to my therapist about it, and I was jittery and I was stuttering over my words, and she was like, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? And I was like, and finally the word shame popped out of me, and she was like, that. And then she went and she got me an ice pack. She said, hold on to this. So I held it for a second. I held it in my lap, and it made me feel better because it brought my body temperature down. It slowed my heart rate down a little bit, and it was very strange for me to realize that this is a problem that I have, that I have eating disorder tendencies, that I have these problems, and it, in a strange way, it felt good to finally be like, yes, okay, I do have this, because for a long time I felt like it was an act. I wasn't this tiny girl. I wasn't this bony little thing. I didn't look like I had an eating disorder, and that was what got me every time, was because I saw this fat person, so it was I don't deserve the title of anorexic. I don't deserve the title of eating disorder. I didn't think that I deserved that. I had such a low opinion of myself that I was like, oh, you're not skinny enough to have an eating disorder. I hated myself, I hated my body, and I did all these things that to hurt myself, that were harmful, and it just felt like pretending. A lot of people are like, oh, eating disorder, you just want attention, you just blah 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 blah. Lots of girls will be in the locker room and be like, oh, I'm so fat, and just to hear oh no, you're not fat, you're not fat, like I promise you. Like I was one of those girls in middle school that I would look in the mirror and like complain to my friends, oh, I'm so fat, like I'm such a big huge blob. And they all were like, no, you're not. And I'm sure a lot of them like didn't understand why I was saying that, but like I felt like that. Like, if you don't struggle with this, then let me just explain to you that how much it sucks looking in the mirror and like not seeing what other people see. And for a long time I didn't recognize that. I just saw like a big person. Like, have you ever seen that picture of the really skinny girl and she's looking in the mirror and she sees a much bigger girl? Like, that is really accurate. Like, you look at your body and you look at your body and you look at your body and you find all these flaws and all these issues with it, and it just distorts in your head, and you just, once it starts, it just doesn't stop. I don't really know like how it all started, but I remember a moment when I was like in 6th grade, and when I was younger, like I hit a growth spurt in like 4th grade, and I was about this size, but like a little bit heavier when I was like a 5th grader. Like I've never been fat, I've never been overweight, I've always fallen inside of a healthy BMI and a healthy weight, but I didn't see that because I was taller and bigger than all of the other girls. And I remember looking at this small little pixie girl who's sitting next to me in class and like looking at her thighs and just feeling something shift in my brain and being like, that's the size I'm supposed to be. Granted, like, that was so wrong to think because I was like 5'5" and she was probably like 4'11" maybe. She was tiny, but I looked at her and she was perfect to me, and that is what started the comparing game. And let's just talk about this comparing bullshit for a second, because I would do this to myself every day. I can look back and recognize how sick I was for years, where I would like walk down the hallway at school and be like, oh, she's bigger than me. Oh, I'm like bigger than her. Oh, I'm bigger than her. Like, oh, look at her thighs. Like, oh, she is really, like, I would compare myself to almost every person that I would come in contact with. And subconsciously, I would attach a value to size. And looking back, I'm just disgusted that I even had this problem. But again, it was just something that just was wrong with me. Like, it was just a sickness that just took over me. And of course now I'm able to catch myself when I have those moments and be like, and shut it down. But back then it was rampant, and everyone that I saw, like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who they were. It didn't matter. Instantly it was compare. And let me just tell you, when you do this, like, it tears you apart. Like, it fucks you up so bad, because like when you're comparing yourself to other people and when you put other people above you, like, you're never gonna measure up. Like, a very important life lesson to learn from this is that everyone is equal. You can't attach value to one thing. You can't attach value to appearance, to intelligence, to behavior. Everyone is equal. And if somebody just everyone is equal. We'll just leave it at that. I'm going off on a different tangent that has nothing to do with this. So if you are someone who struggles with this, another reason I'm making this video is because I felt very alone. And when I didn't feel alone, I would go on the internet, or when I didn't want to feel alone, I would go on the internet and I would find other people that had these issues, and it would encourage the negative self-talk. Like, there are these negative accounts on the internet that promote, they're like pro-Anna, pro-self-harm. They promote hurting yourself and doing wrong to yourself and negative self-talk. And that is where I went when I didn't want to feel alone. And please just take it from me. It does feel good in the moment to, like, I don't even know, it's so twisted to talk about and to think about, but it feels good to have other people recognize how twisted you feel inside. But like, if you are one of those people who are trying not to be alone and are going to the internet for that, like, maybe you'll stumble upon this video and maybe you'll watch this and you'll feel less alone in the world. Maybe you'll message me and you'll talk to me and we'll talk. And maybe maybe I'll help you. That is another goal of this video. There are two goals. One of them is to help myself and to own up to it and to just cast away all of the shame that I have by forcing myself to own up to this, to where I don't like to eat food sometimes and I feel guilty and I don't like myself when I eat unhealthy things sometimes, and I'm very ashamed of that. But I'm going to put that out there and I'm going to own up to it, because it is wrong to feel ashamed of something that you can't help, because an eating disorder is an illness. Like, it is something that is wrong. It is not something that you can help. It is not just bad habits. It is a problem with your brain. It is a sickness. The same way that diabetes is a problem with, I don't know, with maybe your blood sugar. I don't actually know much about diabetes, but the same way that diabetes is a problem with your body, an eating disorder is a problem with your head. And it is wrong for me to feel ashamed of that. And the other is to find girls who were in the same position that I was in and to catch it. Catch it, maybe. Maybe I will spark something in them. Maybe I will help them before they fall down that rabbit hole that is those toxic accounts, that is the horror of the pro-Anna and pro-self-harm and pro-Mia accounts that there are. Like, there are thousands of them on lots of different platforms. And so if I can discourage you from supporting that and being a part of that, from my life experience, and to get you to help yourself and not kind of fixate on your illness, that is the other goal. If I can help you, if I can steer you away and help you avoid the mistakes that I made. So I've struggled with this since I was 12 years old, and all through middle school I just had this self-loathing. I just would avoid mirrors, would avoid pictures. Like, I don't think there's a picture that I took in middle school that I liked of myself. And I know a lot of people, it's just like an awkward phase that you go through. But yeah, that was really crappy. And I wanted to restrict and I wanted to not eat, but it is hard. It is hard when you just, it's just hard. But eventually it did get the best of me, and I did start to restrict. I was obsessed with the calorie intake. I eliminated foods. I wouldn't eat meat. I wouldn't eat anything fried. I had fear foods. Like, I wouldn't eat peanut butter. I wouldn't eat Oreos. I wouldn't eat pop. I wouldn't, or juice, or any sort of liquid that wasn't tea or water or coffee. I wouldn't drink it because liquid calories scared me. There was a lot of negative self-talk that went on during that point. I don't want to talk about what it was, and I don't talk about how I did all this, but that was what happened. And I had this online account that I used really negatively, and I posted really upsetting pictures, and yeah, and I ended up dropping 25 pounds because I was really depressed at a point in my life. A couple of months I was really down, and I was doing a lot of drugs, and it would take away my appetite. I would do an upper, and then I would feel really down because I don't know if you know, but if you take a drug that is supposed to make you euphoric and happy, it uses up all of the happy chemicals in your brain, and then in your daily life they're all used up, and so you're depressed a lot of the time because you don't have any of that happiness chemical left. So I was doing that a lot, and I dropped that weight, and then I looked in the mirror and I was this shell of myself. I didn't like what I saw at that point either. I was covered in bruises, my hair was stringy, my bones were sticking out. It was kind of a revelation for me, because it's wow, I did what I finally wanted, and I still don't feel beautiful. I still, I didn't, it was almost worse being this shell of myself that I was at that point. It was almost worse. And then I was just kind of lost for a while, because it's I'll never be happy. I was this much and I wasn't happy, and then I was this much, and it just didn't make it any better, because a lot of girls or at least for me, it was like, oh, if I drop that last 10 pounds, I'll be happy. If I drop that last 5 pounds, I'll finally be happy. Things will finally fall into place, but they didn't. But slowly, I did get better at one point, just because it was over the holidays and I was like around my family a lot, which made me happier. I was off drugs for a while, and it was like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and so I was like eating more and exercising less, and I put all the weight back on, and it was good. And my boyfriend really helped me for a while. He helped me with my body image, but I ended up relapsing about a year later, and the same thing happened. Like, dropped the weight, looked at myself in the mirror, was like, well, fuck, like, I don't like this either. Like, there's got to be a happy medium, and I think that's where I am today. Like, I give myself permission to eat. I can enjoy things. I can go and get a burger from a fast food place. I can eat ice cream and milkshakes and bacon, and even though I do have thoughts of self-loathing because of consuming all those calories, I also have other thoughts to battle that. I have thoughts that are like, well, you're at a healthy weight. You are supposed to have about 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. Like it's okay. I do find myself still having disordered habits sometimes, like bargaining with myself, like, oh, like, don't eat until dinner and then you can have a big dinner. But I'm becoming better at recognizing that when those happen and how to kind of shut them down a little. And although I do struggle with it still, I've come a long way. I have a lot of positivity in my life, a lot of more positive people. Again, my boyfriend helps me quite a bit with my body image. He tells me I'm beautiful and perfect. And even though that is kind of cheesy, like, it helps me a lot, like it does. To any of you who have these issues or are in that place, because like I was in that place where I just couldn't look in the mirror, couldn't look down at myself, had all these issues, like would loathe myself. Like, I hated myself so much when I would eat food or too many calories or fear foods like pasta or anything that was really calorically dense. Really, when I would eat that, I would have so much self-loathing that I would harm myself because it was like a punishment. Like, guys, like, I understand how bad it can get. And I also understand that recovery is terrifying. Like recovering from this disease is so scary, because the scariest thing in the world is putting on weight. The scariest thing in the world is being fat. It's terrifying for me still. Like, it's one of my biggest fears. Like, sometimes I think about it and it just will like send me on the verge of a panic attack, to where I have to push those thoughts out of my head to be okay. Like, I understand. But I also understand that seeing a shell of yourself is almost as bad. Watching your boobs go from a D cup to an A cup, watching your hair fall out, feeling cold all the time, like, it's just as bad. You have to tell yourself it's just as bad. And I know when you're in that state, you're like, no way. Like, I would take that over anything. But once you're there, once you get to that place where you are destroying your body, it doesn't feel good anymore. I promise you, it doesn't feel good anymore. And you have to, and it's your comfort zone. Like, I know it was my comfort zone too. It's still hard for me to make these choices every day and make the choice to think positive thoughts, because it is like a bubble. It is like a comforting bubble to be in that state and to be in control, but you're not in control. You have to understand that you're not in control, and you are not perfect when you are sick like that. My advice to you is, don't brush it off. Don't stay alone. Like, you have to talk to somebody. And real talk, like, your friends aren't enough. Like, talking to your friends about it, sure, it does help, but they're just your friends. Like, they're the same age as you. If you're a child that is struggling with this, then they're probably also children too. so they don't have the tools and the resources to help you. It's really important for you to go and find somebody, like a teacher, a parent, a counselor, somebody who can actually help you. Also, take it seriously. Like, lots of people will belittle eating disorders if the person is not morbidly skinny. Like, if you have thoughts where, to the point where you don't like yourself enough to where you think, I'm gonna skip a meal, I'm gonna not eat today, then you have trouble signs for an eating disorder, and you deserve to be taken seriously. You deserve to be able to talk to somebody. And I just want you guys to all know that. Like, take it seriously. Like, asking for help is never a wrong thing. And if anybody tells you, you know what, you're okay, like, this isn't a big deal, like, you just stop, like, fuck them. Like, even if it's like a teacher or a counselor, like, go find another teacher or another counselor, because this is a problem. This is a big problem. And take it seriously. Like, that's all I have to say is, like, you matter, and you deserve to be taken care of, and you deserve to get help for whatever issues you are facing. So yeah, that, my heart is pounding so fast right now. I just wanted to, again, share with you guys that you're not alone. I'm trying to, words. You're not alone. You deserve to be taken seriously. I'm not going to be ashamed that I have had an eating disorder and still have disordered thoughts. I am not going to be ashamed of that anymore. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for listening to me. It really does help to talk it all out and be able to put it out there for other people to see. Some people may not understand why I do this, but that's okay, because it helps me, and it doesn't really matter if you don't understand. Alright, so that was nice to get off of my chest. Today's quote of the day is, "You could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the whole wide world, and there is still going to be somebody who hates peaches." I like this quote because it's, like, funny, but, like, you totally get what they mean. Yeah, so can't please everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you spend every day staying inspired. Bye! Also, for real, message me if you need any help, if you need any encouragement. Like, I'm always here for you. So, yeah, bye for real.